RotoGrinders Today. I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. BlenderHD, BlenderHD. You want to follow me on Twitter. And it's Tuesday, October 29th, and we'll be taking a look at the four-game NBA DFS slate today on DraftKings. So hit that thumbs-up button on your way in the door. Hit that like button. Hey, give me those thummy thumbs. Right, hit that button on your way in the door and hit the subscribe button if you're new here and hit the notification bell to know when we go live. We got Crunch Time and Grinders Live, all the NBA stuff later today, 5 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 for Crunch Time. I don't know how many moving parts there are on today's slate, but you never know because it's NBA and things happen. But we got 4 games, and I got Tim Buell in here, most well-known for and there's also NHL today. There's NHL today. I'm more excited for NHL today than I am for NBA. But join our Discord and at rotogrinders.com/Discord. Tim is always active in the NHL channel for the big slate tonight for that. But we're talking hoops. We're talking hoops. Let me put it up on the board. I'm producing the show, so I gotta put. Oh, there we go. We got Lineup HQ. We got SimLabs. For those that don't know, we now have a combo light package. Right, you can get all 4 major sports: MLB, NBA, NFL, PGA. You get full SimLabs access for our simulation product, and a lot of other places have it for like hundreds of dollars. But you can use our projections and simulate contests, depending on whatever contest size that you play in and what types of lineups that you're looking for. And it's an easy way to generate, but hopefully plus EV lineups for the contests on DraftKings. So sign up for that, and you get all of our premium written content with that for one low price of $39.99. Click on that link in the description for more information. Tim, tell me why. Tell me based on what I see in Lineup HQ here. Tell me why I'd much rather play Domantas Sabonis for $2,000 cheaper than Nikola Jokic tonight.
Ooh, yeah. Well, I mean,
or am I supposed to play both of them? Am I supposed to play both of them?
There is already plenty of value tonight because of the Golden State situation. So without Curry, so that's opened up quite a bit of, and I think and Andrew Wiggins is questionable, so there could be even more value showing up for Golden State. So yeah, I mean, I think there might be possible ways to play both of them, but Sabonis is currently projected as our chalkiest player on the entire slate, so that makes me a little bit nervous. 9,300. I think there's going to be plays that we can pivot off of that. But like you said, Denver is on a back-to-back. They played in overtime last night, but I mean, they play such a tight rotation. They don't play a deep bench. So I think that we'll continue to see a really, really condensed rotation. They're only about I think around 5-point favorites. So I mean, the game should stay competitive. I personally, and we'll know if there's any shenanigans because it's the first game to lock. So like in case they sit anybody, after that, overtime game with a back-to-back, we'll have all that info. But I mean, Denver plays super, super tight rotation. So I would prefer playing Jokic over Sabonis.
Well, Sacramento has the highest implied team total on the slate, 120. Yep. But you mentioned that Warriors situation. We already have in our projections Wiggins out.
So really? Okay. Okay.
I mean, I'm going under the impression. I mean, I'm typing his name. Yep. It's not even showing up. Obviously, we have if-then projections. We have some Court IQ here at RotoGrinders. If you're a Combo Premium member, you get access to all of those research tools. But yeah, these Golden State Warrior players. I mean, like this is like sure these guys are out, but I mean they're at home and they're only like a 1.5 point dog with a 108 implied total. All these guys are cheap. If you look in SimLabs, which I'll bring up on the site, that what we see here, like in these shooting guard, small forward positions, it seems like right now we have Buddy Hield projected to be 32% owned and massively him and Podziemski to be like the most under-owned players on the slate. Do you really think that's going to, I mean, is this more of a byproduct of people not knowing what to do with the Warriors, or do you think the ownership is actually going to be commensurate here because Buddy Hield definitely rates out pretty well. And especially since he's eligible, he's a shooting guard, small forward. This is one of the things that you learn in NBA when obviously SimLabs does a lot of this work for you. And that's why I'm assuming these guys are showing up as under-owned, is that positional construction of your lineup. So like getting leverage at center is always the hardest. Always the easiest, but the hardest to accomplish because on DraftKings, there's only 2 spots you could put a center-only player, either the center or the utility, and that's it, right? If someone's a point guard, shooting guard, they have 3 spots that they could fill in, right? Point guard, shooting guard, 4. Point guard, shooting guard, then the guard spot, the utility guard, and then the utility, right? So that's 4 spots. If someone is shooting guard and small forward eligible, they are now able to fit in the shooting guard spot, the small forward spot, the forward spot, the guard spot, and the utility spot. So there's 5 spots for them to fit in. So it makes it, especially when they're value, much more likely for them to be optimal because they could fit in your lineup so many different ways. While someone like a center may not be able to do so. So like we see Hield, we see Podziemski, I can never Podziemski.
No, it's Pajemski.
Right. Like them, and then like Jamal Murray at 7,300. Like we start putting together these lineups, like someone like De'Aaron Fox, it makes it much harder for them to be optimal when they're just point guard only because they can only fit in 3 spots versus some of these other guys that could fit in 4 or 5 spots. So Tim, these Warriors players, like you mentioned, Wiggins being questionable, and we have him not even in the projections. Curry out.
Yeah, he might be already ruled out. I must have missed that. I thought he was just questionable, but yeah, I mean, if we haven't projected out, then that's obviously fine. With him being out,
how are you dealing with these Warriors players? I mean, is it simply, are we looking primarily at Hield and Podziemski?
Yeah, and you got to throw in Kuminga in that mix, and I think you got to throw in Draymond Green because I mean Draymond Green. Not that I'm Mr. like a no ball kind of guy, but like Draymond Green does run this offense at times. Like he does play the point, so he is somebody that I would be getting a lot to, especially if he's only going to be 17%. Even if that gets a little bit higher, I wouldn't mind getting to. Like I think that we're a little. I think this initial run of projected ownership is probably a little light on this Golden State situation, but even if it gets a little bit higher, I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's gonna be bad chalk. So I mean, it's there's so much usage to go around now with no Curry, and so it's definitely a very, very playable situation. I would probably rank them. Podziemski 1, Hield 2, Green, and then Kuminga. That's probably
Green. We don't even have projected like all that great. I mean, I know it's a 4-game slate. I know it's a 4-game slate, so like you don't like if this was a 12-game slate, that's a different story. There's so many more options. So like Green, we have projected for 28 minutes and over. He's obviously over a fantasy point per minute type of player, but seems like the type of player, power forward, center eligible at 6K. Seems like the type of player that maybe SimLabs you're not going to get as much of. But maybe, as we start looking at some lineups in SimLabs for this slate, maybe we'll look at what Draymond Green lineups look like to be plus EV rather than expect to see a ton of him. Because we, typically on Tuesdays, me and you, Tim, we kind of go through your thoughts and we kind of find the lineups that you would be willing to play based on your own personal preferences. Because that's kind of what SimLabs is.
Right. Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, let's do that.
And what are we doing with these Minnesota players? Because I'm looking at our prop model, which is part of our premium package, as well as you can get a props and pick'em package, right? If you don't even want to play DFS, you just want to use our statistical projections to bet on the prop markets or the pick'em sites. I mean, you could use that too. We do have a prop model for most of the sports. Pick'em for you could even cricket. If you want to do prize picks, League of Legends, and cricket and stuff, we got that also. But right now in our prop model, it shows Rudy Gobert over 11.5 points as the highest edge. And the best bet would be, it looks like BetMGM probably has them at like minus 115 or minus 110 or something like that. And it also has, let's see, like Julius Randle under points, right? Looks like Jaden McDaniels over 1.5 assists. I'm just going through some of this stuff. But this Dallas-Minnesota game should be close, right? But I mean, most of the guys in games are expensive. Like, what are we doing with like guys like Luka and Anthony Edwards?
Do you want to touch on Brooklyn real quick? Or at least let me touch on Brooklyn real quick?
Okay, touch on Brooklyn first.
Yeah, so I mean, Dennis Schroeder, I think rates out as a really, really strong play. He's point guard, shooting guard. I don't think we should just completely ignore the situation. Like I said, Denver is playing on the tail end of a back-to-back after an overtime game last night. I think that Cam Thomas, he is a high-volume shooter who's going, I think, pretty low owned. Like we have him projected for 12%. I don't expect that to get much steam. He is very much a boomer bust player, shooting guard, small forward. I just wanted to touch on that really quick. Like he could easily shoot the ball 25 times this game. That's like what that guy does. So at 7,700, he's got 50 in him. He's got 50. He's definitely got 50 fantasy points in him. And so I think he's a good way of potentially getting a little bit different on this slate. And then also Cameron Johnson. I think he's a solid per minute producer at 5,200. Again, he's coming in under 20% owned. I just wanted to touch on those three guys really quick because I think all three of them are really are pretty strong tournament plays.
And those would be good lineups, Tim. That if you're going to play Brooklyn guys, to play the Denver players in those lineups.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, Denver is pretty important. I mean, everyone's important on this slate because it's so small. But I mean, I think Brooklyn plays these three guys the most, and they're all, I think, a little bit underpriced, or at least I think Johnson and Schroeder are. Cam Thomas is probably appropriately priced, but like I said, he's super boomer bust. I would try to get like 20% of him if he's really going to be. If the last projection ownership update is still Cam Thomas around 10%, I would try to get around 15 to 20 of them.
So how about the stuff with the Minnesota and Dallas? Because I don't think there's not value there, but I mean, Luka, Edwards, Gobert. I mean, we got people that have ceilings, but they just project a little bit less than guys like Sabonis and Jokic and Murray and I mean, we could talk about like De'Aaron Fox. Like how are you handling the Dallas Minnesota game?
Yeah, so Dallas is on the second end of a back-to-back as well. Luckily, this is also the start time, very first start time on the slate, so we'll know all the news for this game. Wouldn't be shocked to see somebody sit from this game. Yeah, so I mean, Luka's looking like he's going to be the lowest owned of like the super high price guy, the very, very, very high end guys. Obviously, cannot argue with people if they want to get overweight. I do prefer Jokic straight up though, just because Brooklyn has just nobody to guard him on the interior. Brooklyn has just no interior defense at all. So I do prefer Jokic, but we'll see where ownership lands later in the day. But yeah, this is probably my least favorite overall game. There's nobody that really sticks out to me that much. I wouldn't mind like PJ Washington if he's going to be under 5%. I think that's decent. Or like Derek Lively, who's going to be under 10%. They're fine. Kyrie has been popping in some optimals. He was popping last night as well. He's okay. I mean, that $7,700 price tag is really enticing. There's just this game from a overall standpoint is my least favorite.
Because I think it's the game that's most efficiently priced. It's like everyone's like fine, right?
Yep. Yeah,
well,
there's no like there's. Yeah, go ahead.
No. Well, I'm gonna go to SimLabs. We're gonna look at large field, contests. I'm gonna put in 150 just with our defaults, just with our complete defaults and everything, just to see what players come up more than others in what should be positive expected value lineups. And obviously, I always have to say at 11:15 in the morning, this is based on our current projections. Okay, so this is based on our current. Wiggins is out. I mean, no one's sitting in the Minnesota game, right? Our projected ownership as of right now, because essentially what Jamino and the guys do behind the scenes is that they create the lineups for the entire field of this large field contest of what we should expect to see in the contest, and then run 10,000 simulations of the games over and over and over and over again and see where those lineups rate out. And obviously, the ones that show a higher return are going to be higher rated, and the ones that show a lower return are going to be a lower rated. But 2 hours from now, Luke is out. Well, like all of this doesn't even matter. So you should really be running this type of stuff more closer to an hour before lock. We always have a timestamp on here, so you can see on the very bottom it says latest Sims update is at 10:35 a.m. So this is as of now. So I mean, you can see how fast this is. 150 lineups, large field, high results range. I want a wide. It's a 4-game slate, so I want to include as many of the options as possible. On a larger slate, you may not need a high results range. Right, so I just play press get lineups. This will take 5 seconds. I mean, like, this is really quick, and I just want to see who shows up in a lot of these lineups more than others. Right, so I mean, we don't have to play like these top lineups. So we have CJ McCollum, right? We didn't talk about New Orleans, right? We see Kuminga here. We see some of these higher rated lineups based on the SimLabs rating. You see projection, ownership, top 100, in the money, the sim weight, everything like this. But I mean, we have other tabs here. You go over to exposures, and it'll show you like how much of that player is in this 150 run. And
what does it say for teams? I'm just curious what it's giving you for
teams. A lot of the Warriors.
Okay.
A lot of the Warriors, a lot of the Kings, then Minnesota, then Utah. Not much of the Mavericks.
Yeah.
Really not much of the Mavericks at all.
Yeah, it likes Minnesota a lot more than I thought it would, but I'm not surprised by Dallas. But right. I'm a little bit surprised by Minnesota.
But I think it's more of that, like, Minnesota comes in these like mid-range types of like Rudy Gobert, 30%.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mike Conley, 20%. Anthony Edwards, 20%. So like no one high, but like Hield and Podziemski are both like amazingly high. Then Jamal Murray, then Dennis Schroeder.
Yep.
DeMontis Sabonis, Jonathan Kuminga. Then we have Malik Monk, John Collins. I mean, like, we go through here. Jokic, 10%. Not much Jokic.
Not much. Way more.
Not much Randall. Not much. We go down to Luka, 3%. Right? I mean, the Nuggets, not really, other than Jamal Murray. I mean, not much at all. Of course, it's just like a default run or anything like that. But I don't think that's surprising. I mean, because if we go back to the main page. Once I go back here, let's go. The dashboard. Right. It shows like at center that Jokic is the most overowned center. Mm-hmm. And Collins and Sabonis and Gobert are the most underowned, which means you're probably going to get a lot more of them. But it's not just taking, you don't just go in and, just give me 150 lineups. Let me just throw them in there or anything like that. Different lineups have different, like, would you rather have a lineup with that a higher top 100 rating or one with a higher in the money rating? Like when I play GPPs, I really don't care about getting in the money.
I'd rather be that top. Yeah, you want to be in the top 100. I wouldn't worry about in the money. I think that's kind of like you're just dying to like pay the rake really overall. So like you definitely want to be like top 100 rating.
So you can go through these and you can find ones that you like. I mean, you could save ones. You could do. You could do anything you want, but you could also lock players and exclude players and just find the lineups that like you want to play. Right? It's like, oh, well, I definitely want to play this guy and that guy and this guy. And it's like, okay, well, have it run 20 lineups and just pick the, sort by whatever rating you want and pick the one that you want to play. So like Tim, you said that you're like, what players you're building. We're going to do this for a smaller field contest. I'm going to move to the smaller field because that's what typically you play. You play single entry, which is even smaller, right?
Right.
So let's go to the single entry contest, right? So typically that's 1,000 or less entries. And who do you want to play? I mean, like, obviously you could, as I always say, you can play whoever you want. It just depends on how you build that lineup around those players. That's what SimLabs does for you. So, Tim, what players do you want to play today?
All right, so let's start with two chalky guys that I'll just get out of the way that I know that I'm going to be playing. It's Healed and Pajemski. Okay, so let's throw them in there,
and you're going to play them together.
And I'm going to play them together. That's correct. Yeah,
Okay.
I know that I know I'm going to play those two guys. And
how about people that? How about we look, especially looking at this exposure of all of this? Is there like a chalky guy that you're just like, I want to see a lineup that has those that has Healed and Pajemski, but doesn't have X, because you're just not gonna. That obviously that may come up high. Do you want to play some like a non-Sabonis lineup, or a non-Gobert lineup, or a non?
Well, yeah. Yeah, so I'm probably not playing Gobert, and then I was really surprised to see Sabonis as like overwhelmingly our highest projected own player. So right now, I don't think I want to play Sabonis or Gobert. I'd rather play Jokic. So
why don't I just put in Jokic? Why don't I just put Jokic here? Oh, because we don't have that many Jokic lineups in the top 150, right. But there are some. But maybe this is the type of lineup you want to play. And obviously these lineups probably can't even get Sabonis. I mean, maybe we'll see some 2 center lineups. So these are the 3 that. Okay, let's take a look at some lineups. We're not going to do 150, but let's put in 40. And this is for a single entry, high results range, only because it's a 4-game slate. If this was a larger slate, you'd be much likely to just low results range. So you're not getting like the 3K crappers in a little too often. So let's do this. Let's build these 40 lineups in SimLabs and see what comes up, right? We care about top 100, right? We don't, we care about that more than anything else. Caching, and we don't care that much. But the highest one, okay, we're getting John Collins here. Let's see. We get Keegan Murray, Mike Conley. This is organized by SimLabs rating. Like here's in the money is low, but top 100 is high. So let's sort by top 100 rating. Right, and then go to the bottom and get rid of some of these. Like, when it's trying to make 40 lines, like once you start getting these bars, like it's basically saying there aren't that many lineups that are profitable with this configuration, and it's just forcing in to make 40 lineups. So you can see down here, like we could get rid of like when it's the bars are gone, right? Even this one over here. So it was able to make like 7. Right, so I'm going to save all of these, and then I'm going to get rid of those bottom ones. Where's my save lineups? My current build. Sometimes it's hard. It's hard to even. Okay, let's go. Come on. Or can I just save the top 7? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just really slow. Really slow. Sorry. Trying to get rid of lineups. Okay. Well, we got a couple up here. So out of these 7 lineups, I mean, do you like Murray? Like, take a look at this first one. Like, do you want to play Monk and Murray today?
I don't hate it.
You don't hate it?
Don't hate that. Nope.
You got Murray and Jokic.
Yep.
Here's a lineup that has 5 Warriors. Kuminga, Pajemski, Green. Like you'd mentioned, Green, Moody.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you necessarily should be playing Moody with Pajemski and Healed. That seems kind of like are they going to be on the court together?
I think they will be. Yeah.
Okay.
There's at least a little bit. Did we get to any Christian Braun? Because I think he's an interesting. I think he's an interesting.
Here's one with it. The last one.
Okay.
It has Gobert in it, so it has Jokic and Gobert. Here's Christian Braun, right in the shooting guard spot with Cam Johnson. So you get Healed, Kuminga, Pajemski, Cameron Johnson, Christian Braun, Keegan Murray, Jokic, and Gobert. I mean, this is close. This is
I might play around with that Gobert spot. It's I think Gobert has an amazing floor. I never really think that he has like a crazy ceiling. But given that this is like a smaller field contest type build, Gobert does fit better for this type of tournament than a large field. So I don't hate Gobert. Just a little bit worried about his ceiling.
Well, but the thing is that for a single entry contest, probably Gobert is a lot more valuable than in the
Right.
large field stuff, right? So that's a byproduct also of, SimLabs. The floor may matter a little bit more. Like, you don't need to score all the points, right?
Yeah.
If Gobert puts up his projection of 36, like, you could still win a 500-person contest.
Yep.
Especially with this lineup, you've got multiple players that are projected to be less than 20% owned. I mean, if you take a look at the total ownership of this lineup, it's not all that high in general.
Correct.
Buddy Hield's your most owned player. Yeah, you're eating some of the chalk, but I mean, this exact combination is
basketball. Basketball, you have to lean into projection. You have to lean into chalk. Like, you can't. This isn't like baseball where you can just like, fade, the chalky guys and be somewhat comfortable with it. You can't do that in basketball. You have to lean into the projections in basketball more than any other sport.
Right. So our optimal, which is like the highest median lineup, based on our current projections, projects for 278 at 211% total ownership. And here on SimLabs, this is a lineup that has 175% ownership and projects for almost 265. So it's 13 points below optimal. And you could see that's the reason why the in the money rate is much lower than some of these other lineups. Right. We see here, like, for instance, here's this lineup 6. You can see on the right. Like, top 100, 85 rating, in the money, 33 rating. And you see here, there's a lot more correlation here, right? Because you got Lindy Waters there, right? You had Colin Sexton, you got an 11% owned guy and an 8% owned guy. And the projected ownership is much lower, 163, but the projection is also like 263, which is 15 points below optimal. Basically, the lower you get from the median optimal, the less your in the money rating is probably going to be. But as long as you're getting a commensurate amount of ownership discount, lower and lower ownership, that top 100 rating typically goes up. So as I explained in Theory of DFS, which is a 15-hour audio DFS masterclass that you could get at theoryofdfs.com, that you're always trying to balance out projection, correlation, and leverage, right? NBA, not that much correlation, right? They're kind of weak correlations, but definitely leverage and projection. And in Lineup HQ, you used to do stuff like, well, I'm going to build a whole bunch of lineups and see, what median projection versus ownership, right? You compare those two numbers to each other. Well, like SimLabs, because it's simulating the contest 10,000 plus times, like, it's doing all of that work for you. It's showing you that this lineup right here with Lindy Waters in it has the proper amount of balance between leverage, correlation, and projection, and also showing you that in the runs, it doesn't finish in the money all that often, but when it finishes in the money, it comes closer to the top 100. So if you're willing to embrace the variance, this would be that type of lineup. Or you could play multiple lineups. All right, maybe we see this here also. Here's another Lindy Waters lineup with the low in the money rate, right? Because the projection is low. But you go like up to this top one, right? You see here, like, it projects for 269, right? But it also has, 172% ownership. But it's combinatorically, it has a lot more of these like slightly under 20% owned players. So this exact combination has a better balance of like, oh, maybe the top 100 rating is just a little bit below the other lineups, but it cashes a lot more often than the other lineups. So even when you don't win, you still get some of your money back over and over and over again. And this is kind of this is how you should be using SimLabs, right? SimLabs isn't just go here, press a button, and just whatever. Now, if you aren't paying attention to NBA at all, and you don't even know who Malik Monk is, right? You don't even know who Buddy Hield is. You're just like, I have no clue who any of these guys is, but I have a free ticket, or I just want to play a $10 contest or whatever. Like, you could just come to SimLabs and just go, give me one lineup, or give me any of these lineups, and just play him, it's going to be better than you just randomly trying to guess on who to play today or how to construct your lineups. So it's still good even if you just want to sweat, right? Like
Right.
Tim.
Oh, yeah,
like if you,
definitely.
Like I don't play NBA DFS anymore, but I would go to SimLabs and just go, okay, let me sort through some of these and I'll play 5 lineups. Okay, this one, that one, this one, this one, this one, I'm done. Right.
I mean,
It's based
yeah,
on
I mean,
so why the hell wouldn't I play?
Right. I play NBA DFS every single day, but I still use SimLabs every single day. Like it's a very, very useful tool, whether or not you play or you don't. It's extremely valuable. I love having access to it. I use it all the time just to help me like make better decisions, like for my overall decision making. So yeah, it's a really fantastic product.
So now I'm going to show on the other side that you could exclude players. Like, let's go for that single entry Okay, that seems like the type of thing you do for large field, right? Fade the Warriors, right? So no,
I would say I was going to say let's fade Buddy Hield because he's a guy that's very shooting dependent. So he's a guy that could bust really easily. So I was thinking like maybe we could build out some teams without Buddy, or do you just want to fade all of them?
Yeah, just fade Hield and at least Hield and Podziemski.
Okay,
right.
Let's do it.
And then let's see what comes up. Right.
All right.
Let's look 20 lineups. Right. High results range, large field contest. Right. Let's see what this is. I'm going to clear the saved lineups. Go to the current build. I'm going to build 20 just to see. Okay. Well, I got to make sure my little pop-up doesn't come up. Okay. Let's see. So maybe people are thinking, oh, maybe I'm gonna see what lineups if I fade these guys. I mean, this is kind of how you use the tool, right? Okay, so the first lineup that comes up, yeah, these project much lower. Like these definitely project much lower. Top 100 rating, right? You get Clarkson, Kexler. Like this seems like more of like Conley, Edwards, a Kings, Utah type of lineup, and Cameron Johnson. Like this one has Kuminga in it at least, right? But obviously, you're not getting as many lineups that don't contain either of these two players. Like this one has like Moses Moody in it. You got DeRozan and Keegan Murray together, Gobert and Conley. Like these are much more contrarian lineups, I would say, right?
Very, very much so, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you don't get that many of them because once you start getting down to the bottom.
I was gonna say we're not gonna get many of these lineups.
Right. But these would be some of the lineups towards the top that, it's constructed in a way that, like, man, this SimLab rating is at 81. This one right here on the right, like this would have been in our like 150 run from before, right? It projects low, right? But you got Conley, Edwards, McDaniels, right? I mean, you're just getting kind of raw points there. And then you're playing a chalky, like, obviously, Murray and Sabonis are in this lineup because if you're going to fade like two of the chalkiest guys, you're probably playing the other two chalkier guys, right? I mean, like, it's not this kind of thing where it's like, well, I'm going to fade all 4 of these guys. It's like, it's a 4-game slate. You probably shouldn't fade the 4 highest values on the slate in NBA at all, ever, right? Like you're probably playing Sabonis in your lineup if you're not playing the Warriors. You're probably playing Jamal Murray if you're not playing the Warriors. It's just that you're playing someone like Christian Braun instead and Jaden McDaniels rather than those Warriors around all the other guys that you're playing. And then a relatively lower owned Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely like I would not recommend fading all of the Warriors today. I would be getting to at least 1 or 2.
Well, here's Kuminga. Kuminga's in this lineup, Tim.
Yeah, no, I know. I saw that. Yeah, I mean that's obviously fine. I think if I had to fade one of Podziemski, Hield, and Kuminga, it would probably be Hield. Just because if he's not making a shot randomly, he's in big trouble. So he does not fill up the stat sheet, so to speak. So I think if there's one, it would be him.
Do you got any? I know NBA props. I know. I'm looking at the prop model because I just trust our statistical projections. I mean, still got that Gobert one up on the board. Cam Thomas under 3.5 assists.
I don't mind that one. I don't mind that one. All that guy does is shoot. So he's not passing the ball to anybody. So I don't mind that one. I don't mind that one at all.
Another one is Colin Sexton over 15.5 points. These are all on BetMGM, by the way, where the best number is. That's according to our prop model, which was updated 3 minutes ago. This gets updated like I think every 10 minutes. So if you refresh, it'll always show, data updated. Always check those timestamps. But it makes it easy that using our statistical projections, you could just go and wake up in the morning or whenever you feel comfortable. Obviously, news changes, right? Someone sits and all this stuff changes. But you could go and do that. And I can even go over to this NHL tab. And I see all these NHL prop bets as well. So Tim, do you got anything on the props and Pick'em Street yet this morning?
I haven't done anything except for I did take Kuminga's under 20.5 points. That's just me. That's not a prop model or anything like that. That's just me.
That's a Tim Buell model. That's a Tasteful Tides model.
Yeah, that's a Tasteful Tides take right there.
Oh, okay. So if you want to if you want to tail the tides,
yep.
Right there you go. So anything else that people should know about the NBA slate as of now, as of 11:30 in the morning?
Yeah, let's just keep in mind that Hendricks for the Jazz broke his leg last night, so like the starting five for Utah is not like a shoo-in. So just keep in mind, I think the starters in that game really are going to matter. I don't think that anyone's completely sure of who's going to fill in that spot. So I think that's an important one to monitor. So yeah, I mean, those are meaningful minutes that have to be filled by somebody, and I'm not exactly sure who that's going to be at. And that game starts at 9, so we might not know that info until the slate's already going. So that's an important piece to like keep in mind in case you have to like build in like a 2v2 or a 3v3 into your lineup.
Well, in order to catch all the news, you get the RotoGrinders app. We always send out those notifications. Or join our Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord. Join the NBA channel. It's free, right? And Tim's in the NHL channel, but you could always, tag him even in the NBA channel if you want to ask him a question about basketball today. So join that, rotogrinders.com/Discord, and hit that thumbs up button on your way out the door. Give me all of your thumbs. We got tons of stuff on the channel. We got Swolecast coming up. I think they're doing it tomorrow. We got NFL. Obviously, I'll be on tomorrow with a preview of Week 9, and then props and pick 'em on Thursday. GPP strategy on Friday, and then we go back to the end of the week. We do it all over again because I'm here with you on weekdays, 11 o'clock Eastern, talking about all things you're thinking about in daily fantasy props and pick 'em on RotoGrinders today.